Eric, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I guess we're as good as we can be for this crazy year that we've had, and just the holidays are looming around the corner.
Yeah, for 2020 being 2020. It's
oh my gosh.
pretty good.
Yeah. How have you hung in there, with your job, you're married? Right?
Married.
Yeah. Kids?
Two kids.
Two
I have
kids.
a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Not a lot of sleep for some time now.
Do you have Disney Plus? And if you do, is it constantly running in your house?
We basically have our own little cable subscription because we have Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Netflix and HBO. And it's absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we have Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Roadsters Racers and Stinky and Dirty and blah. I
don't have kids, but I hear from all my friends who do have kids that they're just like, I need to get out of the house. I can't listen to another, Dora the Explorer or Disney Plus, or it's just on constant stream all the time. Frozen. I can't watch Frozen again.
So what's really funny, and it probably works in our favor to some degree, is my oldest is terrified of everything. If there's a bad guy,
can't
not
watch
interested, and that includes the likes of Frozen.
Oh yeah, the big bad snowman
doesn't matter if there's ominous music.
Oh yeah,
he's out.
I'm the same way. It's hard to watch anything at our house. My wife's like, "Gosh, come on, get it together over there."
Yeah, my wife likes to watch some of the spookier things, and I'm good.
Yeah,
but Game of Thrones and all the usual suspects. But with having kids, we always fall asleep by the time we're actually ready to actually watch a show. And,
let's watch something.
No doubt. So we just started watching Schitt's Creek because it's short.
Yes, 20 minutes, 23 minutes, whatever they are.
And it's easy to watch, and it's a great show. It's phenomenal.
Yes.
But all the Narcos is one of our favorites.
Yeah.
There's plenty of dark shows that we watch, it seems.
I just would love, we did this as we had our, my personal day job. We just had our company meeting yesterday. We do it monthly. And it was pretty interesting to where I'm getting with this is we looked at our Zoom stats of our Zoom meetings over a period of time and by month. And it was, obviously it's like, wow, that just dramatically increased in March and April because we're all remote. But I in the back of my head, I wish that Netflix, HBO Max, the Disney Plus would show the amount of increase in streaming that they've had this year. I'm sure it's dramatic.
You don't need to. So my day job is in finance. I work at UMB, portfolio manager, all the things. Love it. But to the point that I'm getting to is if you really want to see how much people are streaming stuff, just look at like a Netflix stock chart.
Oh my gosh.
Or Disney's a little bit of an exception just because they, have Disney parks and and all that stuff, but they just announced a whole bunch of stuff about Disney Plus.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
Bananas.
Oh wow.
I think it was up like it reached an all-time high yesterday.
Yeah.
Just because they're refocusing their company.
It sounds like we're going to have to do a quarterly financial statement episode on Gripping Golf, and you're the guest in 2021.
Happy to do it. Yeah.
And now we're going to the stock report.
Yeah, no doubt.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. The thing that I try to avoid looking at really is the Apple iPhone screen time notifications.
Yes. Yeah.
That just makes me feel like a tool because all I do is apparently look at my phone and my computer and all the things.
Right, but it's so rewarding for me when it goes down. Like you look at your week over week and you're like, oh, I'm 10% less than last week. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm having headways in life right now.
No kidding. Yeah, we have a few friends that we make fun of because they'll text us or whatever.
Right.
Text them back. And
just because they text you, you're making fun of them? No, I'm joking.
There's that. But there's people where they try and call them back, and they're gone. It's been 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're like, did you just throw your phone across the room? And you're like, hey, Eric. And then next thing you know, you're gone for 24 hours.
Or vice versa. Someone calls you and they send you a text.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's up? Why didn't you just answer?
And so, but we make fun of them, but I'm also very envious of that type of thought process too, because I just have my phone on me.
Yeah,
a majority of the time, and it's ridiculous.
Well, you're working. It's
to the point where both my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old at times, like I gave them a calculator because I'm a nerd and I still have those. And they walk around and pretend like those are phones.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, good
how
Lord.
could you not? Yeah,
that's bad. But anyway, So if you want to see what the number of users that are going into stuff, just look at a Netflix chart.
Oh man, that's a great way to look at it. So we've talked. You've introduced yourself, but you're here because you have a passion project.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your passion project, what it is. Give us the name of it.
So it's called Nelson Hill, and we focus on high-end or timeless golf products.
Yeah.
Solely or mainly focused around the golf bag. That's kind of the thing that.
And if listeners aren't seeing this, they can go to YouTube and watch this. And we do have the products here sitting on the table that we're talking about.
Yeah, we do.
So,
I keep forgetting that we're on video.
Yeah,
I've never done a podcast before, so if I sound really weird, that's why.
I love it.
But no, so my golf history, just to kind of backtrack.
Yeah,
a little bit,
talk about yourself. Yeah, are you from Kansas City?
I'm from north of Lawrence. I claim Lawrence, Kansas as my home.
Right.
Go Jayhawks.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm a K-Stater.
Well, that's okay. I almost went to K-State.
Okay.
And I'll explain in a second. But
my whole family went to KU.
Oh.
And I went to K-State.
Oh, so you're the crazy person.
Yeah,
okay,
I am.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Right,
Thank you. Yeah.
So I claim Lawrence, but I'm actually from Lecompton. Grew up in a pretty rural area.
Yeah.
Went to a small school, Perry Lecompton, if you're familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And started playing golf when I was pretty young, but we were down a gravel road, so I would just go out in the backyard and pitch and putt around.
That's awesome, though.
Age of 12-ish, something like that. And then the day I turned 16, I went to Alvamar Golf Club. And handed in an application to work on the grounds crew. For Darren Pearson and Kent Morgeson and Dick Stunts and all those guys. Mainly so that way I could get free golf.
I did the same thing, except I was at Overland Park Golf Course at 16.
Yeah. And so learned how to play golf that way, with Will Gantz, Conrad Roberts, Greg Wyatt, all those guys. Just the regulars out there. And I believe Alvamar is now Jayhawk Club, right?
Yes.
Something like that. Okay. So
have you played it since they've redone it?
I have not.
I've heard. I mean this in a nice way, but I've heard mixed emotions. I've heard some people are like, yeah, it's great, and then I've heard other people like, I don't know what's going on.
Well, it's just it had a legacy. I mean, it was Alvamar.
I agree. I
still have the divot tool, and it's like my lucky charm when I play, even though I don't ever get lucky when I play because I'm really bad nowadays. But
because you're busy.
I don't play as much as I used to. That's for sure. But this is part of how to get back into golf, I suppose.
Yeah.
But anyway, it had such a foundation in the city, and then for it to change, there's going to be a lot of people that dislike it just because it's different.
Yeah.
Just because it's no longer called Alvamar, even though it's the Jayhawk Club and the KU team has been there forever. Right.
That facility, the practice facility, is amazing.
It looks incredible.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I haven't been out there. I couldn't tell you when the last time I was out there, but the newer, like, long, short game area, the pitching area was in place, which was like right of the driving range, which that was new to me from 10 or 15 years ago. So I think that's been there for quite a while now, but it was new to me, but I know they've rerouted some holes or changed holes.
Yeah, so. I think it used to be a 36-hole facility, public and private. And so I worked on the private side.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. So I worked for Darren Pearson, and then went over to the public side to play golf most of the time. Played the private side a few times, but for the most part, that was where
I always thought growing up playing the private side, it was like the narrowest course in the Kansas City area. I mean, I know it's in Lawrence, but it's like that's still close enough that people drive out there.
Yeah, it was a shorter version, so the public course was longer and more open. But I think it's probably because it was longer that would be the place that hosted most of this stuff. Yeah, but the private side was narrower. Shorter, there's like a prime example is hole number 2, if you remember. It's that little par 3 across the way, and it was right next to the maintenance shop, so that's why it probably stands out so much. But it was always just this super tight where you had this big, like, cavernous bunker on the right hand side that falls into the creek even further, and it goes straight uphill, and then the cart paths on the left, and you're screwed if you don't hit it on the green. And then it's a 2-tier green, so it's a really narrow, really short course relative to the public side.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit different.
We played our 6A regionals there maybe my sophomore year. I can't remember exactly what year
on the private side or the public?
It was on the private side.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had, I think it was regionals, maybe it was state. But yeah, it was fun. That was and that was like my first time really having like a walking scorekeeper with me, and it was pretty. I'll tell you a kicker here in a second.
Sure.
The name of the person who was my scorer is evading me right now, so you might need to. But it's one of those things that I can remember. I can remember teeing off is one like next to the parking lot and next to the clubhouse, or was that 10?
Number 1 on the private side was relatively close to the parking lot. You're teeing off way up high.
Yes. Okay. Down low. Yep. That's exactly. Okay. That's like one of my most vivid memories of they like announced my name, and it was like the first time like they had announced my name.
You out?
Oh my gosh! Like I wish like the technology we have today, of like to be able to look down and see your heart rate or something like that. I wish I could have. Yes.
Through the roof.
Probably like 212 beats per minute or something like.
Yeah, and it's always funny. Like it might be you and the group that you're playing with, and no one else. You know, and the announcer, and that still makes you nervous, even though you've already done the introductions to. Like,
it's just your name.
Hey, my name's Billy. I'm here to play for Lawrence, and here, I'm Sean, etc. And yet it's still absurd.
And then some other gentleman says your name, and you're like, oh my gosh.
I already knew you were here, and that wasn't a problem. But now you said my name, even though you already did, and that's a problem.
Yes.
So anyway, whatever.
It's just my name.
Yeah. So
it was. Guess my scorekeeper was Larry Brown.
No kidding.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. And I had no clue.
Yeah.
I was like, my dad he came up. I think my dad came up at the end of it, and I'm like walking up 18. And he's like, your scorekeeper's Larry Brown, right? And I'm like, what? No?
Yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
Not Larry Brown-esque, but
right, yeah. It was crazy.
It's some funny stuff. Like you're, especially when you're a little bit of tunnel vision because you're playing.
Yeah. You're not looking around.
No. And it's just it's funny.
That's crazy.
But anyway, I digress.
Sorry,
a ton.
I have.
This is just kind of what I do.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Lawrence, more or less. Went to a smaller school, Perry Lecompton. Playing with my high school buddies, Derek Aldrich, his dad, Steve Aldrich, Drew Robbins. We played with Drew Walters. I'm just name dropping for the sake of it. A bunch of random people where I grew up, and we all frequented Alvamar. So that's where we went.
Yeah.
I got decent. I've always been on the shorter side, not exactly a long hitter, if you will.
Yeah.
I hit the ball a long way for my size, but I'm not Rory.
Yeah.
He and I are probably the same height, and yet he's got...
How he comes up with that. I mean, just so much strength from the legs.
It's unbelievable. I mean... Sure, if I catch it and I'm downwind, I'll hit it 3, but more than likely it's probably in the 260 to 280 range.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Which is fine.
Which is realistic, which is you're probably on the good end of the average amateur golfer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But so I went to Hutchinson Community College for a year to play golf, thinking I was good, and then got smoked. And learned pretty quickly that I was not good, and then learned.
Where'd you guys practice down there?
We went to the Highlands. Okay. So I got to go work at Prairie Dunes Country Club, which was awesome. Got to play there a few times, and it's not a terribly difficult course if it's not blowing, if there's no wind. I mean, it's still hard. There's tiered greens, etc. But I found it to be slightly easier than the Highlands, simply because the Highlands. The very first hole, I was always in a jam immediately because there was it's like narrow, it's super narrow,
right?
And there's a pond right in my short little landing area,
the 260 range,
and it's a par 5. It felt like I was always playing into the wind, and so I could either hit my driver and hope that I hit it good because I wasn't very accurate. Wasn't very long. That's a good combo, or I could try and hit a 3-iron or something and come up short. So. I'm already just in terrible shape.
Right.
And so we played the Highlands, and I was not good. And there were a lot of golfers that were on the team that were really, really good. I think we actually ended up winning the conference that year. Tyler Way and...
Wow. I never played the Highlands down there, but I played Prairie Dunes several times.
Yeah. I mean, it's not worth the... No offense if someone from the Highlands is watching.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's not worth it when Prairie Dunes is right down the road.
Yeah.
And
if you're going to go choose one, go there. Yeah,
I mean, take the top 100 ranked course. But so anyway, we played at the Highlands, played there for a year. After about probably 6 months, I realized that I didn't have it game-wise, and B, I was ready to pursue other stuff.
Yeah.
I was
finance.
Actually, when I was down there, that's when I decided on finance and business and economics, because I was going to go to K-State.
Okay.
And do turf management, golf course management, etc. Because I love working with my hands and being outside, as much as my family might disagree. My brother's a woodsman. He's like 6'2", 200 pounds, and strong as an ox. And then there's me. And so he would always do most of the work around. It's not a farm, but we call it the farm because it's out in the country.
Right.
And so I always enjoyed doing stuff like that. But then when I was at Prairie Dunes, one of the supers at the time said that if you don't love it, don't do it, because you're putting in countless hours and so on and so forth. And so anyway, at that point, I had taken an agricultural economics course and really liked it for whatever reason. Went on, transferred to KU, started studying economics, further, and was starting to get into finance. I've always been pretty good with numbers. And going from there.
That's wow.
And so I came back and went back to work at Alvamar because I still loved it and still wanted to keep playing golf. And that's when, during that time, I think I was a senior. When I started working for Peggy Johnson at Ameriprise, and Billy Brumley was there.
Yes,
and so
this is hilarious.
Your co-host or whatever. How are you guys?
This is Daniel's dad, is what he's talking about.
Daniel's dad. And so I got to. I think I probably met Daniel once or twice. Nothing serious. I wouldn't. He probably wouldn't know me from Adam, but I got to hear a lot about him. And how good he was at golf.
He's pretty good.
And I was like, oh, cool.
He hit a drive the other day. Sorry to interject into your story, but we played I think it was last weekend, and he hasn't played in like 3 months. And, he's struggling to keep it accurate. His scores don't reflect really how good of a golfer he is.
But it's still like a 74.
No. He probably shot, 80, 82 would be my guess. But he hit a drive. If people are familiar with number 2 out at Sycamore, new number 2, which is the par 5 around the corner down in the trees. And he hit a drive. He hit around the corner. I'd never seen somebody get that squat. He was like 154 in to the green. And I look, and when he hit it, I go, "Ooh, that looks like it's a little too far left." And he goes, "Nope, that's perfect." And I was like, "Wow, the confidence right there!" And we got down there, and sure enough, it was. Yes, I was like, "Wow!" Yeah. Like I've never seen. I know I've heard people doing it, but I've never been in a group when someone's hit it that far down there on number 2.
And he just pulled out the DeChambeau stick, and he's
my God,
like, "I love you, but I hate you right now because I can't do that."
He has he's sneaky long. Like he can dial it back, play the everyday, and just bang it out there, and then it's just like he has another gear. And it's like wow, where did that come from?
So it was in Hutchison when I realized I did not have that gear.
The other gear.
I thought I did.
You couldn't go from 260 to 270?
Right. Playing at a really small school kind of convinces you that, oh, hey, you're pretty good. And then you go, oh, that was a really small pond. Because we're talking about a community college. There I'm getting smoked at. I'm not even like at KU. Where
you weren't puffing up your chest and walking around?
No. And then, working at Alvamar and hearing the stories about Gary Woodland during tournaments where he would stand on the tee and for like some charity or whatever and goes, hey, you can take the Tiger Woods drive at the end of this thing, or you can take me hitting 3 balls and seeing where it goes, and he hits it a mile past it. And it's
I played with him in one of the U.S. Open qualifiers, and it was enlightening to say the least of the distance he could achieve. It was his 9-iron. Like I remember watching him warm up on the driving range, and it was a different sound. Like I'm sitting there and I'm like warming up, hitting like a wedge, and I'm like, hitting it 140. He's hitting a 9-iron like 190.
The compression,
Oh my gosh.
And so like I don't remember who I was talking to a long time ago. I mean, everybody knows it now, but especially with Bryson, the biggest benefit to hitting it a long way isn't the fact that you hit your driver so far.
Right.
That doesn't
you can hit your
really
your long or low irons high.
Yeah.
And you can hit them far.
It's the fact that, okay, you're hitting your driver further than I am, but you're probably hitting a 3-wood or whatever off the tee to keep yourself in position. But then in the fairway, if we're both sitting 250, I'm probably like, oh, can't get there. Par 4, par 5 doesn't matter.
Hit a 3-wood as hard as I can.
And you're hitting a 6-iron to get in. So all of a sudden you're more accurate because you have a shorter club.
Yeah.
And you're more accessible. So
people, I mean, I can hit a 7-iron anywhere from 170 to 200 if I wanted to, but I can't, the accuracy goes, but being able to, there is a huge advantage. You are 100% right. There's an advantage to being able to hit your driver over 300 yards and carry it over 300 yards.
It helps a ton.
But the other advantage is when you are back in the fairway is when you can hit, a higher lofted club and high enough and hard enough that it lands soft next to the pin. Hitting a 6-iron that just boom and stops on the green is a big advantage.
It's the modern game version of, putt for dough. Like obviously putting is still the great equalizer and it's always going to be because you can make up so much ground. Right. But in the modern day, being able to hit a 9-iron from 200 is a thing. Like I still probably hit like a 5-iron from 200 yards. Like, and that's when I hit it good.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
got that one.
And I go, take that, Gary. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Can you hit a 5-iron 200 yards? No, you can't.
Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, I am way off topic.
That's fine.
About where the golf bags came from.
No, I love this.
So
we will get there. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's true. We got time.
Yeah.
What else we got
in hour 4?
Yeah. And so I grew up in Lawrence, basically. Went to Hutch, went to KU. Graduated right at the start of the Great Recession, which was awesome.
Me too. Well, I graduated in 2005, so I was close to it.
Okay, yeah. So I got out of college in 2008.
Okay.
And then I went to work at State Street downtown.
Yeah.
So I moved to Kansas City.
Holy
that's
cow.
Where, basically where the finance jobs were.
Yeah.
That wasn't like a financial planner. Like
you may know people that I know. Then.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a kind of
everyone.
I know everybody. Many leather-bound books.
Yes, exactly. Upper deltoid. It's my life.
Yeah. So anyway, I worked there for 4 or 5 years, something like that, and then I had a buddy that went to work at UMB, and I was able to follow him over there, luckily, which was great because that's where I wanted to work and got to work in more investments-oriented field.
Wow.
So anyway, that is my long, hairy backstory that nobody probably wanted to hear, but there you go.
But we're going to hear. You're going to listen to it.
You're going to listen to it if you want to hear about the bags.
Yeah.
But so anyway, I had a Titleist golf bag in high school that just continued to outlive everything else because I would get a new bag from Hutchison and I was like, it's fine.
Right.
Even a Ping Hoofer, it just didn't mean much to me.
Yeah.
And then I got.
But that was like the pinnacle at one point in our young golfing careers. Was like, you don't have a Hoover? Oh
I know. Yeah. But that's when I started to, when I realized that wasn't. It sounds pretentious, but when that wasn't good, I didn't like it.
Right.
For whatever reason, it just.
Do you remember when it went from the small base to the bigger base? Yeah. And it said Hoofer on the back of it, and you'd see somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, I want that.
They're a big deal.
Yeah.
They've got. Yeah. That's a big.
Is that Gary Woodland?
Yeah. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
He's got a Hoover. It's not like those are mass made at all.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Ping.
Yeah. And so anyway, I had countless golf bags. My buddies still make fun of me because I keep all of them. I've got 3 different Titleist bags and a Ping bag and.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Just a stupid number.
My wife would not let me do that, though. She'd be like, you don't need that. Are you using it? I'm like, but I like it. Sometimes I just sit in the basement and talk to my old golf bags. I just
look at my old golf bags. Yeah,
reminisce. Yeah. Remember that 5-iron from 200 yards?
Oh, man. But yeah, so in those post-college years, that's when I kind of, started to think about it for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Right.
I just did. Where I was like, man, I keep going back to that same bag I used in high school. This doesn't make sense. Is there something wrong with it or with me? Probably me. And so
that was a subtle, nice.
Yeah. And then it gets to the point where it was like, okay, playing golf with some random friends saying, I think I could make a better bag.
Wow.
And they just, which I didn't know how to sew.
Right.
I've only recently learned how to sew. Of course, whatever, man, go away, stop talking, hit your shot, all the things.
Exactly. Okay, stop staring at your bag over there, Eric. It's your shot.
And so that was about 10 years ago Probably longer than that, actually. It might be closer to 15. I'm getting old now. But anyway, idea went in one ear, out the other, but it still kind of stayed in there to some degree. And so when I was at my day job, you have to get certifications and all the stuff to do the thing. But then to talk to people about their money. But then so I needed to get an MBA was the starting point for me. And so I went to UMKC, which they have an incredible program there. But there are a lot of good options. KU, of course, is still up here. And then
you don't have to keep bringing it up. I got it. Yeah.
Rockers, UMKC, all the things. Some of my coworkers who are Mizzou people love to let me know that UMKC actually stands for the University of Missouri.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
I know.
That's a fun conversation. Yes. But we had our first kid at that point, Oscar, and so it was natural for us to go there because we live in Brookside.
Yeah.
And it's right down the street and all the things. So, but the very first course it was in the summer of 2016, I think. And since it was the summer, they only had so many classes. And the first class I happened to take was in entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which, there were probably some other ones that didn't sound very appealing. There's some entrepreneurship that runs in my blood. Like my grandfather started an auto parts store in Lawrence, Larry's Auto Parts, if anybody's familiar.
All right, check it out.
It's not there anymore.
Oh, don't check it out. Yeah.
So it got bought out and closed down, all the things. But then my uncle started growing concerns in Manhattan, tree and landscaping service, and then he does.
That's a good name.
He's gonna hate me. It's like Tree Biologics or something like that. But Randy James, he does a bunch of stuff out there, and so anyway, there's some entrepreneurship that runs in my blood. So that's probably why I ended up taking it unknowingly.
Wow. Yeah.
But then in my very
first,
it
was intriguing. There's an interest there.
From the finance perspective, there's also the aspect of every business, including UMB and Goldman Sachs. If you want to take it bigger, JP Morgan, they all started small with one thing or next to nothing for that matter. Many years ago.
Yeah.
UMB's been around for 100 plus years now. So it all started small, and it started as an entrepreneurship type of thing.
Someone had an idea.
Yeah. And so the idea was, like from the finance perspective is that, okay, if I can understand that, then I really have a better understanding of the inner workings of a business, the sacrifices and or business development they had to go through to get to that point, and all the different headaches along the way to get to it. And so if you can understand that from just a sheer business perspective, you understand investment better.
Well, and I think that's a step that a lot of people miss.
They
start with an idea and then they just start striving towards it, and they're not thinking about the business aspect of it or planning for a business, understanding, expenses and how can you get from A to B? Yeah. Well, it takes capital a lot of times. And so to understand and set aside and say, what if this does get bigger? How am I going to get there? I can't just run. It's basically, don't just get up and start running. Like what direction are you trying to run to?
Right. Yeah. And, and there's a lot of truth to the Mike Tyson quote of, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Right. But it's like all the best plans, have different angles and tangents that they can go down. Like, something happened. But
can you imagine at the end of your entrepreneurial class at UMKC? Yeah, exactly. No, you failed. No A. Boom.
The professor just hits you and says, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with everything.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Did I pass?
This is what you need to know. That would be absurd. That'd be fun. Yes. It'd be like, hey, can you dodge this? Good luck. If you get hit, you fail.
Today's guest lecturer, Mike Tyson. Why is Mike Tyson here? Can you imagine? You're so excited. You're like sitting. You're like, oh my gosh!
Oh, it's Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson is here. I hope he talks about Hangover.
Then he hits you, and you're like, oh, that was. Oh, I understand now.
Now I know how Ed Helms feels.
Yeah. I'll get up in like 3 months. I'll be okay.
It wasn't Ed Helms that got punched. It was Zach that got punched.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Sorry. Yes.
No, and to go on another tangent, didn't Tyson just have a fight? Like,
yes, he fought Roy Jones Jr. Yes. The best part about that, I didn't watch it. The best part was the post interview of when Roy Jones has been fighting for a very long time. Like he only had taken like a few years off or something like that. And Tyson has been out of it for 15 years or something like that. And Tyson, they're like sitting there interviewing Roy Jones Jr. and they're like, so were you nervous about fighting Mike Tyson? And he just completely interjects and goes, nervous? What about me? I haven't done this in 15 years. He's been doing it. He's only been out of it for 3. Yeah. He's been fighting this whole time. I haven't fought in 15 years. Yeah. I thought it was so great.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, understanding the fundamentals of entrepreneurship, all the different planning aspects, the things that continue to plan, as businesses grow, whether they're public or not, is very, helpful from the investments perspective.
How did some of that MBA and going through that entrepreneurial, how did it help with Nelson Hill? I know you'll get there. I just, in my mind, I'm just like, were there a lot of good things from that?
Oh, phenomenally. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically in my very first class, my professor said, hey, you can do a case study, or you can bring your own idea. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I've been kicking around this whole golf bag thing for a long time. I don't really know what it means yet, or what it's supposed to mean, but okay.
And that's okay. Like I think some people, when they're in some sort of entrepreneurial type of situation is there's so much pressure to figure out, well, what is the idea?
And you think you have to be right on the first try, but because it sounds bad to say, or not bad, but if you're throwing something on the wall to see what sticks, that's actually an okay business practice, especially in the beginning.
Until you figure it out.
You need to figure out where the market demand is.
Fail fast.
Supply, demand, all the things. But so he said, you can bring your own idea if you want. And I said, okay, I don't know what this is, but we'll try. And so one class led to another, encompassing all the finance classes that I needed, like alternative investments, et cetera. And so I got to take some more and ended up writing a business plan for it, doing market research for it, and then taking another class where it was like you do pitches and stuff like that, whatever. Yeah. But my professor at that point was like, well, okay, you've taken all of them. It's time you either make a bag or you just move on. And it was really kind of funny, but because my response was like, I don't know how to sew, man. And I'm not going to fly overseas to figure that out. Like, I have a good job that I really like, and I have a family, and I just had my second kid. And
nothing is aligning.
Yeah, like the plan didn't work.
Let's not forget the first point. I can't sew.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And so anyway, I got hooked up through this program for a guy. Well, so anyway, to answer your question, it helped a ton because you learn about market research and market demand. Even though you already know about supply and demand, like you just learn about all the different components and things.
Was it more like product market fit type of situation?
I mean, you're searching for the problem that people may or may not have.
Yeah, and then finding that audience that it fit into.
I mean, absolutely. And so that helped a ton. And then by way of that, I got to meet I had to work with a mentor to kind of flush out the idea further. Andrew Morgans, who's awesome, and he connected me with a guy, Hike Kavuchian, who happens to live right down the street from me.
Wow.
And does high-end leather work, like custom hand-sewn stuff. And he also does photography. So he and I spoke for a while, and then he ended up signing on to make the very first couple prototypes make the prototypes for us, both of them. And then he ended up doing the photography for us out at the
Holy cow. Yeah.
So it was quite the connection.
Which, if you go to the website, because the photography is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
I mean, he's incredible.
He's so good on all the fronts. Like he can hand stitch stuff, and then he has a machine to do other stuff. But he can do all the stitching you could possibly want. On top of that, and then as he and I were talking about everything, as it turns out, he was already interested in doing this own stuff to his degree, like making stuff. But he had worked with a company, Sword and Plow, out in Colorado in like product development. So if you could find a single person that could help me develop this further, it'd be him, because he can sew, he knows like the sourcing, and then he can take the pictures for you after the fact. I was like, oh,
what?
There's that
5-tool player.
That's all. Yeah. That's all handy. And so he and I, day job and family, it's like my 5th priority in life.
Right.
And so, nights and weekends at best type thing, just kind of fleshing stuff out. And so he helped make the prototype. And then he had connected me with production lady Miranda in the Crossroads. And we had just got started working towards that. And I had a partner in marketing at the time who helped a ton, helped me come up with the name, Arthur Cherry. He's great. But all of this was going into the tail end of 2019.
Wow.
And then 2020 started, and it was great.
Sorry.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And 2020
then
started.
You could work from home the entire time. No, I'm joking. Yeah.
Well, so all of that developed into creating this bag. So I think I probably skipped a few points, but we got to the point where we developed the bag, and it encapsulated everything that I was shooting for, something that's timeless in nature, that you feel good when you hold it. You can tell that it's special when you have it. And it all just started with the bag. All this other stuff I've developed as I've learned how to do stuff, which I'll
yardage book covers, I'm assuming.
Yardage book covers, scorecard wallet covers, holders.
That's awesome. I'm sorry if I say anything wrong. Correct me and shame me.
No. That's part of the market research. I call it one thing, and sometimes people call it.
Oh my gosh, you want to talk, because I'm in marketing and stuff like that. You want to talk about some of the things that you can go round and round and round with entrepreneurs and CEOs and stuff like that. Is they want to call a product something, and then you want to sit there and go like, I love it. I love that that's what you want to call it, but no one knows what it is.
Yeah.
Like no one searches that. Yeah. If you've heard of Google, there's this thing called Google. People type into it. We can see what they type into it. No one wants to call that product that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to sell any because no one will find it.
Yeah. So that's I call it a scorecard wallet, and everyone else calls it a scorecard holder.
Yeah, there you go.
And stuff like that. But anyway, and so 2020 starts. I went to a Sharewaves event out at Topgolf.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I got to meet a handful of different people, which was great.
When was that? Was that it? In what month was that?
Like December 2019, I think.
I think I just happened to accidentally be there.
Oh, you were?
At the same time when that was going on. Because it was, they had some of the the local there too.
Yeah,
like
I got
Chris
to meet.
Mayberry was out there.
Yeah,
and,
I met Joseph Winslow and Robert Streb.
Yeah, yes.
He was so nice because I was leaving.
He just won.
I know,
which was awesome.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
But I had heard that he was there basically, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I was literally leaving, and I look up and I was like, oh, that's Streb. Yeah. And so I just like walked up to him and I said, hi, my name's Eric. Let me interrupt everything that you're doing in your entire conversation. And he just,
can I finish going to the bathroom, please?
He looked at me in a nicer way than anybody deserves to be looked at when they do that. But
I've heard he's a really nice guy.
Because I immediately was like, you don't know me.
Right.
You have no reason to know me. I'm kind of starting this thing, just a side passion project to see what happens. It's always been a 30-year retirement project for me, like something to do when my time in finance is over. And after like a minute, he goes, oh, okay. And then we just chatted, him and his little crew. And so he couldn't have been nicer, but like I got to meet all sorts of people. Winslow, Streb, Terranova. He talked about the Larry Brown. There was a guy there that played baseball. Oh, I'm making it worse now. He's like a Hall of Famer. Oh. And
George Brett?
No, he played for the Reds, and he introduced himself.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, hi, nice to meet you. What do you do for a living? And he's like, I played baseball a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. And then he left.
Bye.
Everybody was like, you're a terrible person. You don't know this. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm not a baseball guy.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
like,
I don't
like
know
baseball.
him. Yeah.
There's only so many sports, and there's only so much capacity in my brain with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got to meet a bunch of people there. I met Sean Doherty out at Blue Hills. And as it turns out, and I met him through Eric Olson and the Central Links people, Doug Hable and Bailey Stevenson, everybody. And so they were great. And but I met Sean, and as it turns out, my cousin Clark Fry, who worked with him out at Millburn way back in the day.
Wow.
We're like, oh, that's kind of funny because Clark was one of our models, if you are, the talent, as they like to be called.
Let's be, talent.
But so anyway, met Sean, and got to go meet him and show him the bag and stuff in February.
Wow.
It's like February 12th.
How much, like, when you're talking about in February, like, how much did you have? A few prototypes? I mean, I know
I had one bag.
You had one bag.
One singular bag, one scorecard.
Was it in like
wallet.
an air capsule? Like it was
No.
like, do not damage this.
No, no, because that's part of the pitch too, is they can withstand all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, see, that was planned.
Yeah, like I'm Steve Jobs with an iPhone, and the very first time where he's showing it off.
Do you drop these from like 100 feet?
Just to prove a point? No. But yeah, so we had the very first one made in terms of production, and so I took it and showed it to him, and he loved it. And I walked into a handful of other clubs to talk with him. Wolf Creek being one of them, Kansas City being another, and then just a handful of other ones, just to kind of say hello and whatever. And Blue Hill said, we like it. We'd like a special edition, which is what we have here.
I love it.
Because my original edition was, or design was charcoal exterior, red interior, Horween, Chrome XL leather, all of it just as good a material as I could possibly find. So that way, again, you hold it, you're like, oh, this is nice. It's like a really nice work bag, if you will.
Yeah.
Like a really nice briefcase or messenger bag or something like that. Something where when you're walking with it, you're like, okay, this is, this feels really good.
Yeah, this is not cheap.
It's and I realize it's absurdly expensive probably, but it's meant to last a lifetime, and it's meant to be like the last bag you'd ever need. And now, granted, you might have other ones, whatever, but for other stuff, but like it's designed to ride well on a cart, or on a pole cart, and then still be really balanced when you carry it.
Yeah,
all the things.
Yeah, watching you carry it in here, it was incredible. I mean, I was like, wow, that's
you'd think that it wouldn't.
Yeah,
because like the McKinsey bags, which are phenomenal, but they only have a support up at the top, and so it's just a sack that falls down. And most of them are that way, or they've not cut corners, but there are different things to it that I didn't like.
Different styles
that just didn't jive with me specifically, and so that's when I started designing my own bag because I wanted it to be something more meaningful. So like the whole essence behind everything is I wanted a creative outlet where I could create something more meaningful that would like stand the test of time with me. Yeah, like the clubs, like you're in love with your golf clubs, even though those get replaced as time marches on. But the game of golf hasn't changed too much. Not really. Like, you hit it further and the technology and all the foundation, but the foundation of it's still there. And so I wanted something that was going to be foundational in my experience,
trustworthy. It's always there.
Yeah, and I always felt like the golf bag was overlooked from that perspective. Yeah, and so that's where it came from in terms of just kind of creating this thing that's very personal in nature and means more. So
it's you to an essence.
Yeah,
of some
hopefully.
way.
It's like I'm pretty minimalistic when I play. Yeah. I would always get mad at myself when I put too much stuff in my bag and it got heavy.
And why do I have 4 dozen golf balls?
Yeah. You only need balls, tees, and like maybe a GPS anymore. Yeah. I'm over GPSs now too, just because it's too much. Like I just want to hit it. I just want to go out and play.
Is that challenging? Is that challenging? As I wouldn't say that this is the case, but I would feel like there's fewer and fewer courses that are probably putting the yardage markers out on. I mean, they have the 150, they have the 200, they have the 100, but there's probably not a lot of sprinkler heads that have the yardage on them anymore.
No, there really aren't. Which you can unpack that however you want. Right. But the other beauty of tech coming into the game is you have the GPS, but like a guy that I just met through Nelson Hill recently, he turned me on to the Putt View books. Have you heard of Putt View?
I think I have. Is this?
It's like they basically give you they don't give you. You have to buy one. A yardage book for all these different courses, and I assume they pull down Google Maps or whatever with the terrain and everything, and it has like a heat map on the green if you want, and then the yardage things. So
I've seen this, yes.
They're so cool.
I think Slack-Align is one of the technologies that's in there. I think I could be, I'm probably saying that wrong, but
sure. Yeah, no, there's a whole bunch of places like that. But anyway, they have, for situations like that where they don't have GPS, or not GPS, the markers on the sprinkler heads, and you can get something like that to go with the yardage book from Nelson Hill.
Good plug.
But that is a way to just kind of unplug a little bit more as you go. Like, because golf for me is a way of getting outside and getting away from stuff. Like, I love the range. I'm really good range player.
Yeah, I bet.
I hit it perfect every time.
Every time.
No,
there's my target. Yeah. Wherever it ended up. Yeah, that's where I was hitting it.
Yeah, you just don't have to think too much. And so, you don't want to turn your brain off completely when you play, but it's nice to unplug even further when you go play rather than being like, wait, what's my yardage?
Right. It'd be a fun.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, it'd be a fun challenge. I say challenge, it's not really a challenge, but go out and play one round using technology. Then go out and play like what you're saying. Find the, is it putt view? You said putt view?
Putt view is what is the one I heard of. Yeah.
Okay, go get that and play again and see.
See if it changes anything.
You might find you concentrate a little bit better because you're having to be maybe a little more analytical with your decisions.
Well, and you can't rely on just this is a stock 7-iron, just swing and you're good.
Right.
And so like one of the best rounds of golf I ever played in the past few years, which are very rare. I went to St. Louis. We were visiting family, and my brother-in-law was a golfer, and we just took his bag. And we were like, all right, let's take turns. You pick a club, I pick a club. Yeah. And so you end up with 5 different clubs. And I think I shot like 1 over.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Which was dumb.
But still, it implies that how simple the game can truly be.
It can be, yeah. Or sorry, I shot 2 over because I I triple bogeyed the 8th hole, which was a par 3 downhill.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like a stock 8, but there was water in front, so I couldn't hit the wedge that I happened to have. Oh, yeah. I had to hit the 5-iron, and I just stroked it. And so
200 yards.
Yeah, just right into the bush. And I was like, okay, that was fun. I was 1 under par at that point.
I was just going to say, like, wow.
I was playing really well. I wasn't thinking. Right. But then also like, okay, this is more or less that. All right, go. See what happens. Yeah. So anyway, that was one of the best rounds I played in a while.
That's a good story.
With 5 clubs. And a putter that wasn't even mine. They weren't even my clubs.
That's what I was just going to say.
I had 5 clubs and they weren't mine.
Wow.
And a putter. And
so do you now own those clubs?
No. He probably tried to sell them to me, but
I love it.
It's a good thing I didn't buy them
But that would be fun, like to show up like one day and just be like, let's do this.
Yeah.
You'd have some people push back, but then they'd be like, oh my gosh, I shot this at the same exact score if I would have had all 14 clubs.
Yeah. Most, I'm convinced.
Or I shot better.
I'm convinced most people don't. You could take every even numbered club and you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Take the 9, take the 7, take the 5 out. You don't need it. Take a driver and 1 hybrid.
I would
putt with a wedge, actually.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Robert Streb won. Like 4 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago, he won because he broke his putter or something.
That's
like
that.
Yeah. But it's interesting because I think you could really simplify the game of actually what I think would be interesting to look at, which I've thought about this, but I've never really tracked it, is how often do you really hit all your clubs, and not in a round, but just like over the scheme of the year. If you went back and were like, okay, I hit 10 9-irons. I hit 10 9-irons the entire year. Yeah. Now, I think you have to absolutely track that to the course that you're playing. So you wouldn't want to just look at it holistically for the year, but you'd want to maybe look at when I play Sycamore Ridge from the blue tees.
Sure.
I hit my 9-iron 1 time.
Yeah.
Because I struggle with that. And I think a lot of golfers struggle with the fact of like, I play 3 wedges.
Yeah.
So I can't play. I have nothing between my 3-wood and my 3-iron.
Yeah.
And so
I don't even carry 3-wood anymore. It's like driver and then everything else.
And I'm debating that. I'm actually debating going to taking the 3-wood out and putting a 5-wood in.
Yep.
Because I think it would be more
higher launch.
Yeah, and I think it would, on those par 5s that I find myself in between my 3-wood and 3-iron a lot, where I'm sitting there and I'm like, a 3-wood's too much.
Yep.
And a 3-iron isn't enough. Yeah.
You hit your 3-wood every other round.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah. I have to have it.
Yes. And I rarely this year I rarely hit my 3-wood. Yeah. And so I'm thinking a 5-wood would do that. But my point is like, no one sits down and really thinks like, do I actually need all 14 clubs to play around?
Yeah. Especially if you're at home course. A fun exercise is to just go through your bag, right? and then see which ones have the most wear on them.
Right.
Because they're going to get the wear from being on the range, and those are going to be the clubs that you probably need the most on the course are the ones that you're actually using the most on the range, because you're like, whether consciously or subconsciously, you're thinking, oh, I need this 9-iron for this. And so, next thing you know, it's really worn down. Like my pitching wedge is that way. I use it for everything. Until I get like super greenside, then it's the 60.
Is the center of your wedge worn down, or is it just the whole face? Like
I wish I had my clubs here to show you that it's just right in the center.
Yeah.
All the time.
Like a pro.
Like no.
That's what I like. I look at my clubs, and then I see I've just replaced my set this year with a used set, but looking back at my older set, you couldn't tell where it wasn't worn like a pro.
So many times. And I got down, so my handicap, I got down to a scratch at one point, which was great, and I probably wasn't really a scratch. But to show how far I've fallen, 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, it was in spring, I had a wedge, my favorite club. 100 yards out, just going to hit it. Greens this way. I hit it in the water over here. It wasn't off the toe. I cold shanked it. And immediately I just looked at my partner. I was like, I am sorry. I don't know what happened, but that was like the entire day. I probably shot a 90 in back-to-back days. And I was like, what? Like,
do I know how to golf?
All the advanced golf curse words are coming out of my mouth at that point. And it was just like, okay, I guess I suck now.
But we all go through that. There is a pinnacle to our point where you're really good. Like you said, you're a scratch.
Oh yeah.
But then you have these nowadays, like when you have kids, you have you have a career.
I probably play 5 or 10 times a year.
Yeah.
I played more this year than usual, but that's because everybody needs golf to get out, apparently. But yeah, I mean, everybody has a pinnacle to some degree.
Did you feel like, I hate saying the word safe, but did you feel comfortable going out and playing golf given COVID, the pandemic, and everything?
It felt wrong the first time I went and played.
It did it? Okay, wow.
It felt great to be outside.
Yeah.
It felt wrong in a sense, because golf was my thing before all of this, right?
Right.
Everybody's going through super tough times.
Yeah.
Their unemployment's at
I
crazy highs.
agree with you. Yeah.
All these things are happening. Hell, the rigger shut down, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, people are going through some really tough stuff, and you could see the writing on the wall when all this started.
Yeah.
And so I didn't play until probably May. I didn't play for a while because I almost felt guilty, having my typical pastime readily available.
Yeah.
Even though it was different.
Yeah.
It was still very readily available.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
It felt weird. I mean, I felt safe because I was outside, but unsafe just because you don't know what this thing is. And we still don't to some degree. Yeah. It's still novel.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we have vaccines now, which is, great and will hopefully be out sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean,
fingers crossed.
It's incredible that they've been able to do this thus far, but yeah, so I wouldn't say I felt unsafe, but I felt maybe a little guilty.
I can relate.
That I had the thing that I wanted, whether there's a pandemic or not.
Right.
I'd golf.
And then there's other people in the world that are suffering. And suffering's maybe a little bit dramatic, but
it's not untrue.
Right. I totally understand. I don't think I waited till May to play, but I would say maybe late April.
Right.
And I did go out and chip and putt every now and then, but that was more, I need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I felt like there was a period of time where, and we don't have kids, but I was sitting at home and I was like, I have to leave. I have to leave. I can't sit here any longer.
Yeah. And kudos to my wife. She's always been, ever since we first got married, she's like, you need to go play more golf because this is your thing. And
she understands it's your passion. You love it.
Yeah. And even this year she's been that way too. So regardless of whether it's golf bags or golf itself, she's like, just go for it. It's fine.
But do you find that's an interesting, sorry, I'm digressing into other areas as we're talking about this, but is sitting down and creating, a scorecard wallet a yardage wallet or yardage cover, a golf bag, shoe bag, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that an outlet for you too?
Huge outlet. Yeah.
And I know you kind of said that like a creative outlet for yourself, but that like, do you find more enjoyment out of sitting down and doing that than maybe going and playing golf?
Oh no. Like, I mean, golf is still it for me.
Right.
Like if I have the choice to play or make, it's going to be golf.
Yeah.
But the huge advantage that making has is like, part of the problem with golf for me anymore is that it takes an hour. Like you have to leave an hour before your round's supposed to start.
Yeah.
Get there, warm up, check in, all the things.
Yeah. You're gone 5-6 hours.
I mean, it's a whole day. Yeah. If you're playing 18, it's probably a full day. I mean, unless you can really time it perfectly and you live close to a course, etc. And that's hard for me because, a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, I want to hang out with them and play and stuff.
Well, and I would sure that I'm assuming that it's not the same guilt that you were talking about not playing it, but there's guilt, I would imagine, when you're out there and you're like, I should be home. I should be enjoying my kids and stuff like that.
6 holes is like the perfect amount for me, which is even less than 9.
Right. Is it?
But
you said you were good with numbers. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome, everybody. We'll be on next week to talk about how 7 is still less than 9. But no, 6 is great because it's enough to kind of hit almost every shot, more or less.
Yeah.
And have the full experience. It probably takes
play
about
a par
an
5,
hour.
play a par 3, few par 4s.
There was a phenomenal article in the back of a golfer's journal. I want to say it was episode 8, 9, or 10, something like that, where they were talking about how golf needs more 4-hole golf courses.
Yeah.
Because you can have a par 3, a par 5, and 2 par 4s, one with a dog leg and one without. And it's just this microcosm. You could play it twice, and you basically have a 9-hole round.
Right.
8 is less than 9.
Wow. This is and the wheels on the bus go round.
Yeah. But so that would, be a way of being a micro version of golf that's accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. I think breaking that tradition is hard though. That like that I'm going to go play 18 holes or I'm going to go play 9 holes.
Yeah.
I just,
but it's also funny if you really do the research. So I did a thing way back in the day of like high schoolish of where golf came from and stuff like that. And so like the 9-hole, 18-hole thing is just a fabrication of the original people way back when. I think St. Andrews was like 20 holes in the very beginning or something.
Right.
And so it doesn't really matter, but of course tradition is tradition. It starts somewhere, just like a business does. But yeah, so like a 4-hole golf course would be incredible. Like
I would go do it.
I would love to do that.
I mean, I go. I don't do it. I didn't do it very much this year. Actually, I didn't do it at all this year. But the little par 3 course that Iron Horse has.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like just to get out. It kind of it allowed you to have. For me, it allowed me to have enough of an outlet. You are like, oh great,
Yeah.
Now it also leaves you yearning to go play a full round.
Right.
It's not like it alleviates. Like I want to go see what I shoot today.
Right.
Of can I shoot par? Can I shoot below 80 or something like that? But at least like if you need to go, just make a few swings. Yeah, I agree with it. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. I claim Swope as my home course anymore, basically.
Yeah.
Is right down the street.
Yeah.
But right next door is Heart of America, which is like a hidden gem as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
It's got a great little range.
Yeah.
They had that little par 3 course and then that like 3-hole Watson designed kid course up top, which I had never heard of until like my oldest was like 4, and I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yes, we're going.
But my buddy Sal and I, he and I will go play Swope or Heart of America 9 holes, just super quick.
Yeah. That little river, is it the river course that's
I think so.
At Heart of America?
Yeah, it's like right across the
9-hole.
street. Yeah. And it's like, obviously it's a short 9-hole course, so it's not like hard, but you still have to hit a few shots here and there. Like the third hole is a pretty long, for me, par 3 uphill. Yeah. And so you have to hit a legit good shot to potentially make a birdie.
Huge trees on both sides too.
Yeah. And so, that little Swope area, which...
Oh, wait, sorry, 3. I'm thinking of like 5. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's, you can hit a hybrid on the greens of 2 par 4s back to back. So that's what you're working with, but you still have to hit the shot. And if you hit a bad one, you're going to...
I think it's a great course to go work on, approach shots.
Yeah. And so...
Long iron shots.
Being right down the street from Swope, if I want to play an 18-hole round. Heart of America, if I want to play or take my kids, is great. And then Hillcrest, I guess, just got bought by someone who wants to make it public again.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
A pretty cool little pitch and putt area. So, like, there's the first hole, that's that par 3 downhill. Just to the left of that is, to the left, if you're looking at the hole.
Yeah, if you're
is, like a big... It's not their putting green, but it's their pitching green. You can see it from the first tee.
Yeah.
And then it's like a big...
Because the driving range is down past it.
It's a weird little driving range, but it's a driving range. It's better than nothing.
Yeah. You actually drive like the first hole, don't you, to get down to the driving range?
Drive through the first and then cut across the second. But that little swope area is, for someone like myself who doesn't get to play religiously anymore,
right?
Is a good little spot to go work on stuff and play and whatever. So if given the choice, I'll always go there.
Throw the headphones in, listening to an episode of Gripping Golf. So I'm sure that's exactly what you do.
Absolutely what I do. I've known about this thing forever.
Since 2017. No,
hey, I can't give anybody hell because we just started this year, more or less. I mean, I've been working on it forever, but 2020 is when it all started, and that's...
It takes time. It's not, it
and
doesn't happen overnight.
I picked a great year for everything to happen.
Oh, right. Really get out there.
So apparently Swope Park in general, not Swope Memorial Golf Course, but apparently all of Swope Park was going to be like a Bethpage type of golf community at one point or another. Or at least I think the city had ideations on that at one point.
Yeah.
And then, they have 3 courses now, which is better, which is great, but I don't think it became what they intended it to be initially. But Swope is
Clayton, he was on the show, and
that was awesome. The first episode I listened to.
Oh, you did?
Actually.
Nice, yeah.
And he's good.
Yeah. Great guy.
It was a great listen. I met him out at Swope over the summer just randomly. I was like, hey, I make golf bags.
Yeah, exactly.
And I play here all the time. And he goes, oh, cool, man, that's really nice.
Yeah. See you later. No.
I didn't have it with me. I had nothing with me. I just said, hey. Yeah. And he couldn't have been nicer, but it was great. But yeah.
That's awesome.
But so anyway, that was the first episode. That was how I found out about you guys.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks.
And then Jericho.
Yeah, Austin.
Yeah.
Jarko.
He was a phenomenal listen. And then the golf.
That guy,
the last ones I had.
such a great story, and just what he taught. I mean, just passion.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just what he knows about, kinesiology background of body and movement.
Right.
And just, I think he's a young kid, but he is super ambitious.
Yeah.
Love
it's
Love
really cool stuff that he's doing. But really the whole, golf community is kind of budding with all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Not just Kansas City based, but kind of
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, what subject were we on?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Lane?
Yeah.
Where we were as far as the golf bags are concerned.
Yeah.
Duh.
I guess where are you? What's your you've established. First off, I want to ask the question. You've never really indicated, did you learn to sew or not?
Oh,
so
yeah. Okay, so that's
and
where I was in the story.
Yeah.
So I met with Sean out of Blue Hills. I met with the guys out at Wolf Creek. Everybody couldn't have been nicer. I met with a bunch of other places. They were the first ones to, basically respond and say, yes, we're interested.
Right.
Said, okay, cool. Let me get back with everybody and go from there. And then February 19th was like the peak of the market, and my day job went bananas.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And next thing you know, we're in lockdown type thing. And so because of COVID, it basically kind of shut everything down. The lady that was making the bags basically lost her business, and we hadn't finished all the orders yet, which we've made like 20 golf bags. So whatever. It's not like we had a million of them.
Right.
But she ended up selling me one of her machines that can sew leather, etc. And then my partner wanted to focus on his life, which makes sense. It's my passion project. I've been stewing on this forever, and everybody else was really, really new to it. So when the pandemic started and you couldn't really go anywhere to do anything, seemingly.
Were you still going for work? Were you just working from home?
I've been working remotely all year long.
Okay.
Which is insane to think about. But so because you can't go anywhere or do anything or do the normal stuff, I just started to toy. And so this is March, just to pass the time, I had started teaching myself how to hand sew stuff. with leather, punching the holes and learning little eccentricities of it all. Mm-hmm. And so, ironically, when I was left to my own devices, I was a little bit better prepared for it. Yeah. And so, I finished this bag myself. Mm-hmm. So I made this myself. I make all the wallets now. I make everything now. So basically, because we can't go anywhere or do anything, and you get tired of watching Netflix after a while, I would
it fed the creative outlet for you.
Yeah, it gave me something to do. And so, like an hour every night, I'd go downstairs to my little workshop that I ended up creating, and just kind of teaching myself how to do it.
Yeah.
But the techniques I probably have terrible technique relative to like a hike type of thing.
I don't know. It looks pretty. I'm not a professional, but it looks incredible.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I mean that.
All the seams look great.
That is the funnest part of it, is to kind of have this idea, and then strive for it.
Yeah.
And then like if it misses, okay, you got to toss it and start over. But like how do you get it exactly the way you want it? And then.
But people want to handle. That you brought this, a tangible item that they can still tell a story about it.
And that's
so it's handcrafted.
It absolutely is. Yeah. I definitely use a machine to sew the stuff, because there's so many stitches you couldn't do it all by hand unless it's good to make one bag in a month. Because even with a machine, it still takes
get your orders in now.
To make a single bag, uninterrupted, it would probably take 2+ days.
Okay.
So it takes a long time, but
2+ days meaning 8 hours.
It is a very long and slow process. I mean, a yardage book or scorecard wallet, whatever, those take an hour plus if you're really just working your way
disciplined.
Yeah. And I'm a perfectionist. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But so I ended up 2020 was it ended up being really good in the long run for the passion project, because I have more control over the IP. I know how to do it. Yeah. I could train someone if I had to, if I wanted to. If we even get to that, we'll see. It's, again, we've made 20 golf bags.
Yeah.
And we'll probably...
Very lucrative right now.
Yeah. We'll probably make 10 or 20 bags a year, or just a handful of things. Just it's a small... it's basically a hobby that, maybe in the long run you can turn into something more, but... it's a very creative outlet, and hopefully something unique.
Yeah, and you don't know. I mean, you don't know what will happen. Someone could get a hold of one of these and be like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever had," and then all of a sudden it starts like, "Whoa, this is where what's happening?"
Right, but there's still the constraints of being like the 5th priority, and not that I wouldn't be against pursuing that at some point in time, but there's levels to everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
But so 2020 started with me tinkering with learning to, okay, I'll be ready to do this in 30 years. When
but think about,
and now I can do most all of it, because I just kind of, have you ever read the Patagonia book?
No, I've it's been recommended to me numerous times. I need to read it,
because he's not a business guy.
Yeah.
But he basically talks about how you take one step forward. Does that feel good? Cool.
Yeah.
You can break it all down into fractions and be like, okay, I understand this fraction. Can I figure out the next one? And then can I team them up? And that was basically how all I did. It was like, again, I don't know if my technique is considered to be good.
Yeah.
I don't look like Jordan when I'm shooting a free throw by any stretch, but but you kind of get there. You can figure out how to get it done and make it as you go. I'm not an ogre down there, don't get me wrong.
No, right. Leave me alone.
Right. Yeah. But you just kind of, take off little chunks, see if you can chew it.
It's not, I'm not, this is completely about you, but it's not any different than what I feel like I've gone through in doing the podcast. I'm a one-man show, and I mean, Daniel is part of this, but he has a life and kids and stuff like that. And so it's his 5th priority too.
Yeah.
And so, I can relate, and why I'm saying this is I can relate if, I go home and I have to, dedicate time. I have to be like, I'm going to edit a video. Today I'm going to learn how to do Adobe, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and God bless my wife for putting up with it, because there are so many times we'll be talking about something, and I'll be like, this reminds me of this on the golf bags. And she's like, this has nothing to do with golf bags. But she's been awesome in terms of just letting me run with it.
Our kid's first word is gonna be golf bag.
So my oldest wanted to go downstairs and make something the other day, and he wanted to make a shirt. And that seems far more complicated than making a golf bag to me nowadays. So we just cut up some fabric and sewed it together and then slid it over him. And it looked like he was walking around and just, I don't even know what to describe it. It
Bob
was like
Cratchit's old
just a weird sleeveless vest.
Hey, but you did it.
Yep, sure.
And now you offer shirts.
If you want the worst shirt ever, give me a call. And then he wanted to make a hat at one point too. And we tried, and it was like the worst train hat you could possibly imagine.
So big, like the proportions.
I didn't know what to do. But that was kind of what was fun about it.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's honestly probably not too much different than how we figure out the golf bags.
Right.
But like,
well, would you dedicate more time if you wanted to make hats?
Sure,
you would figure it out. But
it's just
you're not going to.
But yeah, it's just different. So, but
That's
anyway,
so great.
But yeah, so 2020 was basically me figuring out how to do all this stuff on my own, because it's just me now.
Love it.
Which is fine, but because that gives me a little more latitude to kind of follow the wind.
Yeah.
As is needed.
Be a little bit more free.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard when you have to bring people into the equation and you have to deal with.
And I'm probably not easy to work with from time to time, but just simply because I know exactly what I want and I'm trying to
perfectionists are that way.
Yeah. Like, this is how I want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. And like, okay, well, what can you explain that again?
How do I do that?
I already explained it. No,
yeah, exactly.
I'm not.
It's a square.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
6 is less than 9.
Yeah.
Come on.
But yeah, so most of my year, it's been, obviously a really trying year for a lot of people. And it hasn't been easy for anybody really. Some worse than others. But it's been a good year in the sense of, like, I've been able to pursue this more and do more and figure more stuff out. Found a few issues with the first couple bags that we had made, and how do we fix those?
Yeah, how do you get better at it? Yeah.
How do you retroactively fix them too?
Yeah.
And figure that out, because again, they're designed to last forever. Now, I also realize that they won't from time to time, because everybody handles stuff differently. But like, how do you do that? And then how do you take it a step further on the next one?
Right.
So hopefully next year, we'll see. Try and, like, I have a bunch of different variations of the bag that I want to make. So I have the OG, if you will, but I have a range bag that has just a single pocket, which is kind of cool. Yeah, would make a great kids bag at some point. Yeah, like, how do I figure out those nuances? Like, okay, you know how to do the seams and stuff. That's great, but now translate it.
Yeah,
like, so take
proportionally
that fraction and apply it to a different proportion. And so there's the featherweight and the middleweight that I'm kind of tinkering with, and then hopefully get to the point where we can really customize it to where if someone says, I want one of one,
right, and
I like the pocket system, but I want the second one to be bigger, or I want the whole pocket to be made out of leather or whatever, then you can figure it out and go from there.
That'd be cool. Yeah, so, more custom work than anything. But I think then.
But it's really time consuming.
Yes,
like if it takes 2 days to make a single bag now,
right.
I mean, a custom bag,
2 weeks,
if not more, because you have to sit down and figure out, okay, what exactly do you want, and then once we make a decision, that's what we're going with. There's no backtracking. Yeah, like, this is it.
Yeah, we've purchased the materials, we've cut the materials. Yeah,
yeah, and leather,
we have no more materials.
When you stitch the leather, like, once you puncture the leather, that piece is either going where it's going to go, or you have to start back over. Yeah, because the leather can. You can't punch another hole into it because it'll stay forever. Yeah. Like the canvas,
can't fill those,
right? Like the canvas, you can kind of rub it out because it's canvas, but like the leather is not the same. So, wow. But anyway, that's a long, hairy version about a golf bag that everybody wanted to know, I'm sure. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at now. We're just, I came up with the subscription idea probably about a month ago and just kind of kicked it around for a while, because I know that they're super expensive golf bags. Yeah. I fully understand that, handcrafted, that's just kind of part of the game. Yeah. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, well, how do you make it maybe a little bit more affordable, accessible? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, subscriptions are all the rage nowadays. So it's like, okay, can you do a thing where you start the subscription, you get the golf bag, and then you pay $100 a month, but you're not like paying it off over time. You get more stuff, like maybe you get a shoe bag down the line.
Yeah,
you get a yardage book down the line.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff like that. And so
every quarter you get something new or something like that. Yeah.
And so we did a thing where it was just like, or I just kind of did it where it's like, okay, we can do 2 subscriptions this year just to see if it's successful.
Yeah, trial. Yeah.
And a couple guys jumped at it pretty quickly, which shocked me to some degree, which was really cool. But just another way to kind of make it more interesting.
I mean, are you okay sharing the price of what?
I mean, if anyone with a phone, which it's not very many people nowadays.
What's a phone?
Can figure it out. But so on our website, a golf bag itself is $840. It comes with 2 straps, one of which is this premium leather. The Horween is made out of the same Horween leather as the bag. It's all got solid brass hardware. Has a brightly colored liner. This is the Blue Hills Special Edition bag, the original, which is the only thing that's available right now. If you wanted a special edition, go to Blue Hills. Sean will get you hooked up.
There you go.
But the original is a charcoal exterior, same brown leather, and a bright red liner. This has a silver liner and a blue exterior to match their.
It's good looking.
Their color scheme. Yeah, it's super clean.
Yeah.
The special edition has turned out fantastic. But yeah, so anyway, the golf bag is $840. Comes with 2 straps, and is just kind of how it is. These are roughly $200. This is the second edition. The first edition I think is $220, but it's got like a double stitched handle. It's a handle very similar to this.
Very similar, like the golf bag handle.
And then it's got a leather bottom. But this is just the second edition because I don't have any more first editions on right now. So shockingly.
Whoa.
But then like the yardage books are about $100. Scorecard wallets are roughly 70-ish.
Wow.
Golf journals about $100. Stuff like that, because it all depends on how labor intensive each one is.
Yeah. So, time. Yeah. That's awesome.
But that's about it. We have like 6 or 7 products available right now. I've got a handful of other ones that I'm toying with.
Oh man.
Like a work bag, a work journal, those other golf bags that I was talking about. We'll probably do like a shag bag at some point.
I'm looking at the site, and it's nelsonhill.co.
Yeah, nelsonhill.co.
Yeah.
The Instagram handle is where we do most of our marketing, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know if you call it that, but
you would call it.
It's at Nelson Hill Co.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's
beautiful. Love the logo too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was Arthur's handiwork. He was awesome. Obviously, had to focus on other stuff, but because it's 2020 and that year sucks. But yeah, so it's all worked out really well, and my wife and I are working pretty good at it in terms of figuring out how different things are made and going from there. But that's about the gist of it. So we got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. Hopefully, it'll take a lot of time to get there and figure it all out. But yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Well, thanks, man, for coming on the show. This has been super enlightening, and I love it.
Well, thank you very much. It's a side hustle, passion project, the likes of which turned into way more than I ever thought it would. And my wife would probably say the same. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, good.
It's a pretty simple idea. Ultimately speaking, it's just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it's been fun. It's been a great outlet. So.
Well, good.
But yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You
it's
bet.
Been fun. If you ever want to talk about math, let me know.
Stocks, math, numbers.
But
call Eric.
But yeah, that's about it.
Well, sweet, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll do it again. I guarantee you we'll do it again in 2021.
That'd be fun.
Cool.
All right.